We stare at it and we think that's the whole world. The room and the poster. The picture's something nice. A landscape, a famous person. Like in that movie, what is it called? The prison movie. The room's a cell, and the picture, it's different for each of us. It can be beautiful or terrible, but we're all transfixed.
From its opening moments, Control does a fantastic job of setting the mood for the experience to come. The shadowy corridors of the Federal Bureau of Control and the ominous music that echoes in the background radiates with an aura of dark mystery that pulls you right in. Taking the role of Jessie Faden, a young woman who is in search of her long-lost brother, you quickly find yourself thrusted into the role of the FBC's new director through a series of surreal visions. Exiting the vision and emerging from the director's office, you find the bodies of the building's employees floating in midair, enveloped by a mysterious red energy. This energy seems to try and attack Jessie before it is beaten back by an unknown entity that lives within our heroine's subconscious. Now, with the capability to fight back against this hostile energy, which Jessie names the Hiss, you begin to unravel the mystery surrounding what has transpired at the FBC. This is where the game truly begins. Control is the latest effort from Alan Wake and Quantum Break developer Remedy Entertainment, and it plays somewhat similar to those two titles. It is a third-person shooter at its core, but in reality, the shooting aspects take a backseat to the abilities Jessie obtains throughout the course of the journey. These abilities include being able to telekinetically throw objects around, dashing with seemingly superhuman speed, levitating herself through the air, and several others. Don't get me wrong though, while these powers are the main star of the show, your service weapon is an invaluable sidekick. Whereas most games offer a large assortment of guns and ammo for you to discover along your journey, the service weapon in Control is a Swiss Army knife of firearms, touting a rechargeable clip as well as several different forms. As you progress through the game, you can unlock these various forms, which fulfill the function of different weapons. Shatter, for example, is the game's shotgun equivalent, whereas Spin is closer to something like a submachine gun. Each form has up to 3 mod slots, which allow you a good bit of flexibility with regards to how you want to customize them. The combat is absolutely amazing. Gunplay is incredibly polished, and the abilities make full use of one of the best physics engines I have ever seen in a game. Ripping a giant slab of concrete and launching it upside the head of your enemy is so satisfying, and I really appreciate how well the entire experience of battle flows. Enemy AI has an intelligence to it that makes each encounter feel challenging and rewarding. For example, Hiss Rangers and security officers will use cover to hide from Jessie's attacks, while on the flip side, throwing grenades and attempting flanking maneuvers to flush her out when she is the one taking cover. The enemy design is also immensely well balanced, in that it forces you to use all of your abilities to navigate battles throughout the game. There isn't just one single power or weapon form that is the end-all be-all, and if you want to survive some of the tougher battles the game throws your way, you will need to be well versed in every skill and weapon at your disposal. One important thing to note is Jessie never receives any kind of inherent damage reduction as you progress through the game, meaning that you are always in danger of being killed if you get careless. For some people, the paper tiger nature of the whole affair will be a negative, but I think within the context of the game it works very well. Jessie is capable of dealing such incredible damage by game's end that if she were given any kind of resistance on top of it, things would quickly become a total cakewalk. The game only has one difficulty setting too, which isn't a decision I fully agree with, but knowing this, it certainly makes their choice to go full glass cannon with the combat more sensible. You need the game to offer a decent amount of threat for the entirety of it because players don't have the option to turn up the difficulty if they think the combat is becoming too easy. On the flip side, this may irritate some players who aren't necessarily looking for challenging battles all of the time. But I think more of the audience would be annoyed by the other end of the spectrum, so I understand why they did this. When it comes down to it, I just think they should have offered multiple difficulties so everyone would be happy. But for whatever reason, they chose not to. This design philosophy on enemies in combat carries over to the bosses as well. While certainly not the largest boss roster we've seen in a game by any stretch, most of them feel unique in their own way and function well as a skill test. Bosses like Salvador and Tomasi, for example, will test your ability to dodge multiple enemies and navigate a cluttered room while getting attacked from all angles. Whereas bosses like Former and Mold 1 test your ability to levitate and fight at the same time while avoiding attacks underneath you. It's a shame the boss count is so small, because I would have liked to see what else Remedy could come up with to throw at us. But with impending DLC, I imagine I'll get my wish soon. At the center of this whirlwind of death and destruction sits the anchor of our main story, Jessie Faden, who is without a doubt among the most likable main characters I have seen in a game. She is funny, kind-hearted, and very empathetic. It's a real treat to watch her go from a nervous and semi-docile young woman who just wanted the truth about what happened to her brother all those years ago, to an unstoppable badass who fully embraces her new role as the Bureau's director. That kind of character development is much more satisfying to witness than someone who is just a full-on action hero from the moment the game starts. The supporting cast is likable too, and provides some very insightful bits of dialogue, Dr. Darling being my personal favorite among the bunch. The voice acting in the game is top-notch, and the facial animations are also done quite well. You get a really good sense of everyone's personality despite the limited interactions you may have with them. Unfortunately, the story doesn't always rise to some of the narrative heights its characters do. While the game does an immaculate job of world building and setting its atmosphere, the payoff at the end of it all is a little meh for me. I wouldn't say it's a terrible ending or anything, but I definitely walked away with a feeling of that's it. Maybe I just fell victim to my own expectations because of how wonderful a job Remedy had done pulling me into the world they had created. I'm sure not everyone will agree, so feel free to let me know in the comments if there is something you think I'm missing here. There is again the aforementioned DLC incoming as well, so it's pretty safe to say the story isn't quite finished yet. As far as endgame content is concerned, there isn't really a lot to do. They don't have a New Game Plus mode, which is a bit of a letdown. On one hand, I get it because having all of the abilities from the start would let you skip a good bit of the game, but I still think they could have added it while making you uncover the powers organically. Seemed like a missed opportunity. They do offer an expedition mode, which is basically a survival mode that awards you with mods, augments, and gear as you complete it. The problem for me is there really isn't anything to do with these new items you are rewarded with, except for just doing more expeditions. It's a nice feature, and will definitely keep you entertained for a bit after the end of the game, but it still falls short of a New Game Plus mode or an ultra hard difficulty. The game sports a fair amount of collectibles and several outfits you can unlock for accomplishing different things throughout the course of the game. I prefer the Astral Dive suit for aesthetic reasons, but I found myself juggling through all of them fairly frequently. I do appreciate they made them all unique in their own way, and not just 10 different versions of the same outfit like some games do. Other collectibles include videos and files that give you more insight into the FBC's background, as well as details of the organization's history with regards to Jessie and her brother. There's a decent amount to unpack, so if you want to go super lore junkie and dig around for these items, they make it worth your time. Just fair warning though, a lot of the documents end up being meaningless fluff they use to just inflate the collectible count. So, with all this being said, I would definitely say Control is a game I'd highly recommend to anyone who is a fan of third-person action games. Between a captivating story, ridiculously polished combat, and one of the most awesome protagonists you'll find in gaming, there is more than enough to overlook the minor flaws the game has. 8.5 out of 10 in my book. Remedy really outdid themselves here, and with a few tweaks to the story and endgame, this could be a near perfect experience. With multiple DLCs due out over the next couple months, it looks as if the good times with Jessie are going to keep on rolling as well. I want to thank everyone for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Also, if you have any ideas for games I should check out, make sure to let me know in the comments. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you all next time.